Yeah. Yeah, we're on. So I don't like catching up off camera. I like to do all this stuff where we get together
Sure.
and talk like face to face. Tom, I haven't seen you forever.
Well, you've seen me online. You've been Facebook stalking me.
Yeah, you're right about that. I actually am. And I never push like and I never comment. I just sit in the background and watch.
Sort of way. Yeah, that's kind of weird, Neil.
I got to tell you something I don't like. I don't like this. What happened, man?
So what you're referring to is the old beard.
By old, you mean like a couple days ago old?
Yeah, so last month I had a beard to here, right?
Right. And it was beautiful.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't call men beautiful, but that beard, Tom, was beautiful.
Well, so for those that don't know me or know any history about me, I used to be a clean-shaven pretty boy. And
Yes, you were. You were one of the prettiest boys.
yeah, right. About 6 years ago, I made a goal for myself that I was not going to shave until I killed a lower 48 wolf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in Yellowstone as a kid, and we lived in Island Park for a while, which is outside of Yellowstone. And I saw the elk and deer herds decline as soon as they introduced the wolves back into Yellowstone. And it got to the point where we couldn't even hunt our deer and elk anymore. So I thought, well, I'm going to set a goal to kill a wolf, and I wasn't going to shave until I did that. And it took me 6 years.
Wow.
But I finally harvested my wolf, and I cut the beard. I'll show you a picture here of what I used to look like for those who don't follow me. At least you'll have an idea of how ugly I used to be. You say that I look better with the beard, but I don't know. I have my doubts.
Tom, that was a beautiful beard. Let's see if we can sort that out.
Can you see it there?
Gosh, dang it.
That's how long it was. Look how
it's like one of those Duck Dynasty beards. It was perfect, man.
So I achieved the goal. Time to reap the rewards.
Hey.
I regretted it immediately.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
So it's coming back is what you're saying.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a little too pretty right now. I can't tell.
I got a ways to go, but, I don't know if I'll grow it that long, but I do want to grow it back. I think it's part of who I am. So
it has become so, I think.
Yeah.
I want to talk about you. I want to talk about who you are. Thanks for the segue on that, by the way. I thought that was awesome. You have an interesting story. Not only did you play the Jackass games with me and my family a lot growing up, which I've always kind of liked. Did you take the taser? Was that you that took the?
I've taken the taser several times. Absolutely.
Yeah. We all took it. Those are good times. Beyond that, though, listen, you do some really interesting things, and I want to talk about that. Anybody right now, so the purpose of this podcast, Tom, because you don't know, is I'm trying to find people who are out there using their bodies. They're using their fitness. And you intrigue me because you get out a lot. And I've started to go out recently, and I'll tell you more about that as we go. But my wife and I decided we would start hunting again. And I haven't hunted since, I'll bet you I haven't hunted since last time I hunted was 22. I was 22 years old. Okay. That's been 6 years ago. Right. And then I graduated. I thought I'm genteel now. I went off and moved to the city, moved off the farm and moved to the city. And I decided that hunting was this thing that isn't necessary anymore. Don't need to do it. And I'm not going to do it because there's better ways of getting meat and stuff. And then recently I read this book, Meat Eater, and it changed my mind back. And I decided to get back active. Uh-huh. And I'm in this funny hunting phase right now, and I wanted to talk to the greatest hunter I know, and that's you. You are I've been following you for years, brother.
So through the grace of God, I've put myself in a position where I can do this for a living, and that's pretty unique nowadays. Start out hunting as a kid. My dad was an avid hunter, and he put himself through college selling coyote hides and bobcat furs and things like that. So as we got older, that's what we did. And I too went to school and got an education, and I joined the police force at a really young age. And after, almost a decade of police work and a really strange, twisty, turny undercover stint in the narcotics unit, I decided that that's not what I wanted to be, and that's not who I wanted to be. So I left all that life behind to go work for a big game outfitter and hunted for deer and elk and moose, and fell in love with life all over again. Liked where I was, felt good about what I was doing. And, when you're happy, you're healthy. And that's what life is about. It's about being happy and being healthy and just enjoying life,
Man, I love your thoughts on that. I want to go back. What was do you have any stories about what the weirdness was, or do you not dare get into that? Tell me about, you said you took a weird turn in narcotics. And
well, so when you're an undercover narcotics agent, you have to become a bad guy. To be good at what you do, you have to become what it is you're trying to catch, and to catch the biggest fish, you have to become the stinky bait, like catfish, right? Catfish love the stinky bait. And to catch a big fish, a bad drug dealer, you have to become the stinky bait. And it changed who I was. I didn't like who I'd become.
What do you mean by that? Like when you say you have to change?
I became very cynical. I didn't trust anybody because I'm dealing with liars, cheaters, thieves all day long. And you start to take it home with you after a while, So I didn't trust my wife, and my kids were afraid of me because I was that bad guy that I was trying to put in jail, And not that I was doing illegal activity or things like that, but it changes your demeanor. You can only roll around with the pigs in the mud for so long before you become a pig,
It's interesting you should say that. I've got a buddy that was also in narcotics, and I saw him change over the years.
Right.
Hard. He became a really hard guy.
So either you become effective at your job and you become hardened, or you stay the same and you're not effective at the job. And I was really good at what I did. And so therefore it had an effect on me, And I woke up one day. Actually, we had just done our taxes. And I woke up and I realized that I was making $38,000 a year salary to live the life of a drug dealer. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing this for? I mean, at least drug dealers get paid good, right?
Well, I don't know. I read Freakonomics. It says they don't, but yeah, I bet they get more than 38.
Exactly. So I'm like, this is not worth it. It's not. I almost lost my wife. I was disconnected from my kids. And I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. And so I decided I had to make a change, and no regrets at all.
How old were you when that happened?
I still support the police force. I love those guys. Some of my dearest friends are still police officers, and I just decided it wasn't the life for me.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when you did it. I couldn't believe it because 10 years in law enforcement, that's pretty far down the road. I was so proud. I got to tell you, I was proud personally when I heard that you'd gone off to do this thing. I thought, first of all, wow, that guy's got 3 balls. He must have for sure.
Well, I gave up my retirement and everything, but you know what? You can't put a price on your happiness, your sanity, your family, and your health, and that's what it was for me.
Yeah. And so you just branched off. You decided I'm going to go. You started working for an elk outfitter. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. And I guided hunters from all over the country. Actually from all over the world. I had clients from Switzerland and clients from Germany and, lots of different places, and got back to my roots, got some dirt in my teeth and some mountain air in my lungs. And man, I just felt like I had a renewed vigor for life.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I feel like that right now.
Yeah.
Doing
That's
this.
cool, isn't it?
So we went pheasant hunting. It's the first time I've picked up a gun to go hunting in a lot of years. And we went pheasant hunting this weekend out at Dad's.
Right.
And we didn't get any. We saw three hens, but didn't see anything with color. And so it was also, yeah, it didn't matter. Lindsay and I were looking at each other the whole time, just going, "This is great. I can't believe it." And even leading up to that, I got to tell you, I really just felt energetic. I felt strong. I felt like I was living life. Finally, I've been spending a lot of my time right here in a chair, and I'm a little ashamed of it. And then I watch guys like you out on your hunts. You're doing the thing. It's cool that they film that. I want to get into that too. I want to talk a little bit how you got into that, because guys, you can go online and let's give everybody your creds. Let's show them where to find you. You can go online, and I found you in a lot of different places. I know your name, Tom Austin. So I was able to find you on Facebook, but there's also, I can find you through Predator Strike Force. Tell us all the places we can find you.
So Predator Strike Force is my hunting business, my guide service. Instagram is at Predator Strike Force. Predator Strike Force on Facebook. Tom Austin on Facebook. I'm also really into cars, as you know, have been forever. And so Austin Auto Design on Instagram is one of my car pages. My wife and I race cars in the summer as a hobby, and it's a good physical activity that gets you outdoors. And you can look for me on YouTube, or just Google Tom Austin. You'll find me.
I just stumbled onto you. I'm like, dude, and you were calling in these coyotes, and I thought that's A, kind of weird, but B, also kind of awesome. I watched the whole thing beginning to end.
Right.
The whole thing. Like, it's fascinating what you do.
Yeah. So what I specialize in is predators. And, I as a police officer, I hunted predators, right? Human predators, people that predated on the weak. And so I got that in my blood and in my system. And when I decided that I wanted to own my own hunting business, I rolled that over into hunting predators that prey on other animals. So we chase bears and wolves and mountain lions and bobcats and coyotes. Any animal that hunts another animal is what I specialize in.
Well, and we've got some, especially back in just 10 or so years ago, we had some real problems with coyotes out west. We had some, all my uncles raised cattle, and one of my uncles was telling me that he had lost a big portion of his herd that year to coyotes.
So, yeah, I work for several ranchers and farmers throughout the U.S. that have predation problems, that, wool growers that lose millions of dollars in sheep each year. And I've been hired by the Division of Wildlife Resources to take care of coyotes in deer fawn areas and different things like that. So it's one of those things where I get to, still have my fun and feel like I'm making a difference. And so that's what the specialty is. In the off season, like the summer, for a lot of years, I taught concealed firearms classes, so people could protect themselves against predators or would-be predators, And I taught firearms classes in 27 different states. I've taught women's tactical handgun classes to teach women how to use their handgun effectively against a bad guy. So my whole MO is basically arming yourself to be able to protect your loved ones, yourself, your loved ones, your family. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoy it.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you how you got into that. Now it's perfectly clear. Of course you would. Of course you'd go into that. Take me through some hunting. I want to understand hunting a little bit better. I understand that there are some hunts that are way harder than other hunts, and I'm keenly interested in them. I walked all up and down canal banks and ditch banks through really deep weeds and stuff this weekend, and I got tired. I slept as well Saturday night as I have slept in a very long time. It was amazing. I loved it.
Flexors are exhausted from trudging with heavy boots on. So I just spent a week in Arizona filming a TV show, and I was I was in front of the camera, behind the camera. And I was responsible for packing a large production camera, television production camera. And we went down to Arizona to a cattle ranch, and we eradicated coyotes and put it all on video. So basically for 13 hours a day, I'm packing anywhere from 30 to 60 pounds of weight all day long, uphill, downhill, across terrain, side hill, through creek bottoms and over mountaintops, and you're carrying all this gear.
I can't even imagine it. I was carrying my gun. I have an over-under Winchester, and by the end of the day, I couldn't hold the damn thing anymore. I was just tired. Lindsay was tired. She was holding. She had a little Mossberg pump, and we were tired. We were done carrying. What is that? 4 pounds, maybe 5 pounds
5 or 6
gear,
pounds, probably. Yeah. So,
and you're carrying 50 or 60 pounds all over all day.
Yeah, which keeps me in good shape,
Well, listen, no, there's no way. Look, if I tried that, I would get skunked. Like, we probably walked a total, Tom, don't laugh at me. But I bet you I hiked a total of 6 miles Saturday. That's it. 6 total miles, right? And I went all over. I was driven. I was just like a rookie hunter. I think there's a lot of different stages of hunting. And I was right back to that 20-year-old Neil again, because that's where I left off. And I was just trudging, going. I didn't stop. I didn't smell anything. I just walked, right? I slept hard Saturday night. How do you prepare yourself? Like, there's no way I could go do that. There isn't. There's no way I could go strap 30 to 50 pounds on and walk for 13 hours in a day. I couldn't do it. What do you do?
Hey, it's baby steps. I mean, you start out simple. You start out small, like you guys did. Start out pheasant hunting, start out hunting rabbits, on the weekend or whatever. And you're going to build up, just like any other exercise, you're going to build up strength and endurance. I mean, I've got bruised shoulders from carrying the camera. I lost a toenail already, and I'm going to lose 2 more, I'm sure, before the week's over, just from the constant pounding in the end of my boots going downhill. I have a blister from side hilling, but I've never felt better. Does that make sense?
You look good too. You look strong.
The gym was never meant to be your source of exercise.
Right.
It's a supplement to
hell yes.
It's
for those of us that can't get out, that don't have the kind of job that you have. The gym is one of those places. It's kind of like you're supposed to eat oranges off of the tree, but when you can't, and you take it in concentrated form, and that's all really exercise and going to the gym is supposed to be. But for the most part, we're supposed to be outside. There's something magic out there. There's something, either it's the sun or the air. There's something magic about being outside.
100 years ago, obesity was kind of a character trait of the insanely rich. And
it applied to about 3 or 4% of the population.
Yeah, that's because they were lazy and they were hand fed, and they didn't have to go out and split wood, and they didn't have to go out and brand cattle and build homes, from hand hewn trees, and we've taken that element out of our lives, and it's changed our very physique as a society, So, I mean, you want to talk about full body exercise, hunting, canoeing, kayaking, swimming, get out there. And I mean, any of that stuff is going to get you to where you need to be physically. You can use the gym as a supplement when you can't get out, but if you can get out, you're so much better off. There's something about walking the banks of a river that can actually help mend your soul and make you a better you, which makes you better for everybody else. There's something about a high mountain meadow, just taking in fresh air and getting a little bit of exercise, feeling the burn in your thighs from a long hike, that actually does more for your psyche than it probably does, a week in the gym. So it's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, it is. I found that this weekend, and I was grateful to be reminded of it. And I'll tell you this, I've done it before, and I still have that 20-year-old memory of it. And when I was thinking about it this week, I think I became healthier and healthier as the week went on, just looking forward to it. It was so cool.
Right.
Tell me about your hunt. Tell me about when you very first got out. How did you make the switch? You're a cop, right? And you're trying to get out of that. You want to not be a cop anymore. How'd you get into the hunting thing? Tell me about what was that moment. When was the moment you decided, look, I'm doing this thing?
Well, like I said, it was when I realized what I was making to do what I was doing, and who I had become for $38,000 a year. It turned on me like a switch, you know. I said to myself, I got to get back to my roots. And getting back to my roots was, you know, just getting outdoors and enjoying the outdoors. And so I bought a 4-wheel drive, which I didn't own at the time. And I had some guns, but, you know, I bought some ammo. I bought a 4-wheel drive, and I just started going out as much as I could. And, you know, ran into a buddy of mine, an old buddy of mine, and he said, you know, we were talking about what he was doing. He was guiding hunts, and he's like, we got a spot for you. And so I picked up and I ran with it, you know. I guided for an outfitter for about a year, and I realized that I was making a bunch of money for him when I could be making that money for me. He wasn't doing anything for me, other than he had, you know, some clients lined up, but that's something that I could easily do. And after I guided some guys, they really liked me, liked my personality. They liked my work ethic, and they were calling me anyway, bypassing him, calling me saying, let's do a hunt. And so I'm like, what, you know, why am I not doing this on my own? So took the leap of faith, and, you know, it's paid off. I don't know that I'm ever going to be rich, financially doing what I do, you know, but I'm so rich in spirit. I don't care.
Yeah, man. And that is the point. Rich is as rich does, as far as I'm concerned. What's the sketchiest situation on a hunt that you've been in? I love stories. Yeah. I just love stories. Tell me a story. Sketchiest situation in a hunt that you've ever been in. Anything scary ever really happened to you?
Absolutely. ATV rollovers out in the middle of nowhere. You
were a client?
I rolled an ATV over with a client, and I bashed my head open to the point where we actually did staples in the field. I had my brother was with us, and he had a jump kit, a first aid jump kit, because he's an EMT, and he did staples in my head right there in the field. No Novocaine, no, you know, just bite on a leather belt strap and go for it. All sorts of wild encounters with animals, bears, wolves, things like that, mountain lions. We had a mountain lion try to eat us one day last year in Idaho. And
I got it. So what do you mean? Like he was stalking you? You ran into him? He jumped? What happened?
So we were calling for coyotes, and we called in a mountain lion inadvertently, and we weren't aware that we had. It came in behind us. And they come in so quiet and so slick that really, you know, we didn't even know he was there until we got.
So you're calling coyotes probably with a rabbit call.
Yeah, right.
And so the coyotes come running because they think there's a free meal, and I'm sure that that cougar was like, I'm going to beat those coyotes to that.
I think we were using a deer fawn distress this time. And we called in a mountain lion that was looking for a free meal. And when he saw us, he wasn't afraid. In fact, he lowered to the ground and started stalking towards us quicker.
Whoa.
You know, when a mountain lion's shoulder blades get long and they just start coming at
you. They start doing that thing.
He had his head down and he was rolling in. And
is that right?
The client ended up shooting that mountain lion at 5 yards.
What?
Yeah.
With these big gun?
Yeah, I think he was shooting an AR-15 223, and he ended up shooting it dead center, 5 yards from the hip. Didn't have time to pull it up and scope or anything like that.
What? How'd you guys see him?
We got up and turned around to leave because we had been there longer than normal, and we thought, nothing here, let's go. And we turned around, and there he was. And when he saw us, he didn't turn and leave. He didn't spook. In fact, he came at us. So, yeah.
Dude, that blows me away.
Yeah. There was a situation several years ago where I called in a wolf, and I had some sheepdogs that were nearby in the area because it was a sheep camp that had lost a whole bunch of sheep to these wolves. And the sheepdogs came in, Great Pyrenees, and they fought with this wolf in front of me in the moonlight while I sat there frozen from fear, and just saw the whole thing play out.
Those Great Pyrenees are no joke. We went, so I was kind of raised around lambing folk, Churnesses and Jensen's and that up north. And I would go help them in the springtime, help them lamb and that. And they had these Great Pyrenees pups. And I wanted to go pet them, and I went to do it. And the guy that I was working for was like, "Hey, get your hands off those pups." Yeah. He goes, "We don't want them to think they're dogs. We want them to think they're sheep. Don't touch them. We don't touch them ever. They just live with the sheep."
Yeah.
They're big.
In fact, I work for Jensen's. I do work for them still, depredation work.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Yeah. And they would need you. They got a pretty big operation out there.
Yep.
But those Great Pyrenees, though, you don't realize how big a wolf is until you see it in perspective. Meaning, so there was a guy down the street from us. I forget his name now. When I was a kid, I was 18. And a guy down the street had been raising a wolf. It was a purebred wolf. He was huge, massive. He came over and was outside of my door one morning. Just as I walked out the back door, there was a wolf standing right there, and he was vicious. He kind of bared his teeth, and he kind of started coming at me, and I thought, what in the hell is going on? I kind of was trying to be nice to it, and I wanted to pet it, but it was madder than hell. And I thought, man, well, something happened. And so I went out the front door, and I started running over to the truck, and I didn't quite make it to the truck before he saw me, and he bolted at me hard as he could go. And we had what do they call those things? A border collie. Rowdy was his name. And Rowdy took off after this wolf, and Rowdy, I think, saved my life, or at least he saved me from getting punctured, because that wolf was coming right at me. Rowdy hits him, and those two engage. And, you look at a border collie, and you think, man, this border collie is pretty big dog. Right. And then he got up next to this wolf, and that wolf grabbed that dog and shook him like a rag doll, as if he didn't matter or care. And I could not believe the size difference between those two animals. Yeah. And as big as those Great Pyrenees are, they're not anything like this guy. Later in that day, my dad and I had to shoot that wolf. We had to kill him. And the owner came, and we took him somewhere, and we threw him on a scale, and that was a 200-pound animal.
It's crazy how big they are.
Yeah.
And that brings up another point. When we're out hunting and I'm carrying around all this camera equipment and guns and things like that, we still have to bring an animal back if we harvest.
Yeah, so, right.
A 30, 40-pound coyote, a mountain lion that weighs 90 to 120 pounds, a big wolf. You shoot an elk or a deer, you're making several trips. You're going to quarter it. You're going to pack it out, 3 or 4 different times. But it's great for your body,
It is great for your body. It has to be great for your body.
And there's nothing like, in my opinion, there's nothing like eating, Hungarian partridge in a Dutch oven that you just shot 20 minutes ago over a campfire. Or, roasting up back straps from an elk that you just stuck with your bow, earlier that morning. That kind of stuff is something that you'll never forget. And the more you do it, the more you crave it.
It's good, Tom. I've been asked a few times because I've been sort of public about, and by public, understand, I have a tiny little following. I'm not like you. But I've been talking about going hunting, and there've been some people. Nobody has challenged me face to face, and thank God for that, because I'm not exactly sure what I'd say to them. But other folks have said, "What are you going to say to the people who are like, this is archaic, it's barbaric, and what the hell? Aren't you a little more civilized than this?"
We're barbarians. Look at these teeth. God gave us those to eat meat. You know what I mean? We've pussified ourselves. America the pussification of America has been brought on by ourselves. And it's not it's not evolution. We haven't evolved into these city dwelling creatures that shouldn't be out in the woods. We're fooling ourselves. We're made up of flesh and bone, and we're made to be outside. Animals were placed on the earth for us to use, for anything we need. Hides, furs, glands, meat, all that stuff was put here for our benefit, for our use. And if you look at the crap in the grocery store, all these hormone injected meats and milks and things like that, it's not good for us. I mean, it's not what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be cavemen. We're supposed to be lean and eating, red meat that we've harvested and things like that. I've got a cousin who's even more famous than I am. He's got a ton of followers online and YouTube and stuff like that. And he dedicated himself to only eating red meat that he harvested for an entire year. He wouldn't eat a steak. He wouldn't eat, fish bought from the store. He's only eating stuff that he harvested. He lost so much weight, and he got so much perspective, and he was just so much happier. It was a huge goal that he accomplished. And, that's another great thing about being in the outdoors is you can set goals for yourself that sometimes you don't have 100% control over. You set a goal for yourself in the gym, you have 100% control over that goal. If you don't work for it, then you're not going to achieve it. But if you work for it, you'll achieve it. But when you're out in the woods and you set a goal to kill a wolf, guess how much control over that I have?
Not very much.
Maybe 50%, but it would probably be even less than that, right? There's another factor that I can't control. So that's why it's so cool to go out and work hard and finally accomplish one of those goals, because it's an awesome feeling, and it gives you a purpose to get up every morning and want to be better. It gives you a sense of purpose to get up and go do what it is that you want to do.
I love that perspective. I would have argued with you on some of those perspectives just a year ago. Not hard because you have to remember where I'm from, but I would have argued with you, and I'm positive you probably get a little hate mail on some of your stuff.
Some of the hate I've gotten it would amaze you,
I've read some of it. I love it because I'll go down and I'll read it, and some people are quite mad at you. And I don't think they're mad at me yet for doing it. I don't think so. I'm from a different crowd, though.
It'll come. I mean, if you keep going down the road, but you got to fight for what you believe in,
Here's the thing that was most romantic. I love all your points. Those are points I wanted to make and have tried to make, not as eloquently as you have. But the point that I loved the most, the thing that really probably, there are 2 points that I considered. All the ones that you were talking about, for sure, the health of it is just, it's not arguable. Right. The meat that we're eating that comes from the store can't be as healthy as what I ate with those doves that I harvested this weekend.
Yeah.
The other thing too that I love is, my family are cattlemen, and we raise cattle up on the hill, and those cattle come off the hill and we put them in trucks and ship them away. And they lived a pretty idyllic childhood, but from that moment forth, from the day we put them in that truck forward, it was undignified. The rest of their life was completely undignified. They live at least ankle deep in their own feces,
right.
Confined to space, injected with hormones and antibiotics. And it's not much of a life. And I think everybody knows that. But those doves that I harvested the other day were wild and free until the very second that I took them. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
If I didn't do it, something a bobcat might have, or that was their lot in life. At least that's how I felt about it. But I loved the dignity aspect of it. I loved that wasn't something that they had to stay trenched in their own feces for months on end, surrounded by death and the smell of just putrescence. I love that. I've also been to chicken ranches. You ever been to one of those in Arkansas?
I've been to a turkey ranch down in central Utah, and wow.
Yeah. Yeah, listen. If I imagine the people that would criticize you are sitting there munching on their chicken nuggets as they're doing it on their keyboard, right? But if they knew, just the dignity factor. I do love animals, and I feel like there's not much dignity in it for.
Well, I do what I do because I love animals. People don't understand that. They don't draw that connection. But human beings are the only stewards on the earth over the animal kingdom. And some animals have to be managed. They have to be protected. There's a culling that has to occur in certain species, or there's the natural order of things. People say, let nature take its course. The nature that was intended to take its course was human beings hunting animals.
I like that thought.
Whether you believe in God or not, we were placed here all those years ago without a grocery store. We were intended to hunt animals and eat animals and use those animals for our benefit. So, I mean, that's the reality of the natural progression. That's how it's supposed to go. That's what was intended from the beginning.
Yeah, I like your thoughts on that, Tom. I do. I like them. I can't argue it anymore. I thought I could a couple of years ago, but I'm telling you, there's just nothing to argue. I think it's a healthier thing for everybody, everything, them, us, and Earth.
Yeah. And I don't like to engage in arguments on Facebook or anywhere for that matter. There's people who will disagree with me, and that's fine. That's their prerogative to disagree with me. But I don't bother them. If they want to do what they want to do, if they want to eat tofu and salad, I could care less. That's not what Tom Austin's going to do. I didn't get this way eating salad.
You didn't grow that big, beautiful beard eating my food's food.
No, exactly.
I like your thoughts on that. Where can I find you? What if I want to go for a hunt? How can I do it? And then is it even possible? You just probably booked out forever.
Yeah, I mean, you can contact me at any of the social media platforms, Instagram, Predator Strike Force, Tom Austin on Facebook. Send me a friend request. Send me a private message. I don't give out my phone number to a ton of people because I'm going to have people who hate me watch this.
Okay.
And I've got a family to protect, and
yeah.
As you can see, it's pretty easy to protect them.
I watched you build that room, dude. That was such a cool episode that you did. I don't know where I saw it. I think I saw it on Facebook. But I watched the episodes where you were putting that room together and finished that room. I thought it was pretty cool. You built that. Like that's a cool room.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. It's completely encased in concrete. I've got 6 inches of concrete on every wall. I've got 10 inches of concrete above me, and I've got another 10 inches below me. So there's no way that anybody can get in here, save a Sherman tank or
yeah, that's your gun safe, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got all my valuables in here. But yeah. Some of my most valuable things are my firearms.
I'll tell you what, you do some great work on that Mustang. And did you design that Toyota of yours?
I did, yeah.
You've done some good work on that.
Austin _auto_design on Instagram. If people want to see my race cars, I've got 2 very nice Mustangs. I've got an 800 horsepower Roush Mustang. I've got a 700 horsepower Roush Mustang. And, we're into the car scene, and we love doing that as a hobby. We love to get outdoors and spend time with the family, hunt, camp, fish. Anything you can do outdoors, go do it. Go out and split some wood. Even if you don't have a fireplace, go split some wood. Take it over to your neighbor that can't go split his own wood anymore. I
still got the scars on my thumbs from that. Just recently I went out and did it. And my hand had slide down and smack on top, as I was swinging that axe. I got big old blisters on my thumbs, and I wear them pretty proudly. I've gotten into it, Tom. I can't believe I let it sit for 25 years without going outdoors much. I don't know what drove me indoors, but I was wrong about that. And so I'm sitting here.
I used to live in New York City, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I was a kid, 21, 22 years old, I moved to New York City and worked right in Manhattan. I was on Pearl Street, downtown Manhattan, and I was living the city life in my very early 20s. And after a while, I'm like, holy cow, what am I doing here? I'm a country boy from Utah. What am I doing here? And I've been to France and I've been to Switzerland. I lived over there, but it didn't feel real. It didn't feel genuine to me. So I understand the draw to city life and things like that. But by all means, you're going to find me outdoors more often than not.
There's something magic about being out there. How'd you get into all this film stuff? Because then I used to have TV channels and I don't anymore, but then I'm watching, I don't remember which outdoor channel it was. And I hear that voice. You got a very distinct voice. It ought to be in a cartoon or something somewhere because it's, like one of those, it doesn't matter. But you have a very distinct voice. I'm like, what in the hell? There's no way. And I ran over and turned it up and I was like, yeah, that's Tom Austin. I know that guy. Like, how'd you get into that?
I don't know. Like I said, it's all been by the grace of God. I've been very fortunate to do what I do. Just work hard. And if you're passionate about what you do and you put yourself out there, you take some risks, you work hard, I think people are going to notice you. And if they see that you're successful in your own life, then they're going to want you to bring that success to their business. There's a lot of companies that contact me to do contract work for them. I get paid a lot of different ways to do what I do, Neil. I write editorials for hunting magazines. I've been Writer of the Year and Column of the Year 3 years in a row for one of the hunting magazines I write for. I get paid through film for film and stuff. I've sold footage to the Outdoor Channel, to the Weather Channel, to the History Channel. I take photos. I get paid for my photography. I get paid for my videography. I get paid for doing radio spots. There's a lot of different ways you can make money if you're passionate about what you do and you're true to yourself.
I'm proud of that. I am. I'm proud of that. It's been fun for me to watch you. And I can't believe a guy that went and took a secure job like being a cop, and it's not super secure. You could die. But beyond that, it's pretty good retirement benefits and such, and pretty good benefits.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see you hanging out there like that. I wish you the very best of luck. Would you mind coming back and talking to us a little bit more? Some of the things I want to pick, I don't like these things to get too long, but some things I want to pick your mind about are, I want to hear more stories. I want to hear, you were telling me about that elk hunt. You were telling me about the physicality of chasing a ram, was it? The Dall sheep?
Sheep hunting is some of the most grueling hunt you can do. Well, we can reserve that for another time. You bet.
I'd also like to hear about your gear. Like, I want to know what you wear. Like, how do you pick what you're going to wear? Like, I would love to hear about that stuff. And I think I've got a group of folks that would also like to hear that, just from a practical point of view, because whether or not I ever go hunting, this stuff will transfer into my daily life. It will. There's just no doubt about it. I need to get outside more. And if I'm not stalking a critter, doesn't matter. Tom Austin told me this is the best way to do it in certain ways. And I'll tell you what, I'd listen to that. So they'd be foolish not to.
GPP Podcast constituents want to hear more, I'd be happy to come back on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, good. I'm glad. And I'm going to hold you to that because I can't wait to hear more stories from you, Tom. Thanks for coming on and joining us. Tom Austin, Predator Strike Force. Find him on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook's where I kind of check him out, but I'm a little old that way.
Heck yeah,
thanks, buddy. Good to talk to you. Good to chat. We'll talk to you another time.
See you, Neil.